Okay, so here is part part three, part four. I'll have to check that. Christmas Lights 2024. So yesterday, really afternoon and stopping around 4:30, we together, the kids and myself, um, put the inflatables together. My son did most of the work, which is awesome with the inflatables. This is probably the, let's see, 12th, 13th, no, this is the 6th, I'm sorry, my math, I'm trying to do it in my head, 18th, I think, time, year. I mean, it's evolved over the years for sure, but there's always, other than the very first year here, there has not been an inflatable. And then on sale that Christmas, or after Christmas ended, I bought that globe that's deflated right there, and it's hung on. You see probably the duct tape on the back, but it's hung on all these years. And everything else has come, what's been in this spot has come and gone many times, just getting destroyed. And I've had some other things, the wind just destroys it. But that saucer that's like down there, that came from Sears when they were closing. So it's kind of a little sentimental because I used to love Sears. And then there's like a polar bear fishing in ice over there, and then a stop sign, and then some random like kind of stake lights in here. Now what I do is, learned this lesson a long time ago, is we get wind here quite often, unfortunately, and you evolve over the years when you do things. Like for example, I stake where I make my connections. I stake them off to keep them off the grass. Should it be more so, not really snow, but like really the wind, I'm sorry, not the wind, the rain, and laying in like puddles of water. Oh, it's been very dry this season. But what I do is I have the stake right here, and it handles everything in the front yard minus the stake C9s that go around the perimeter. I'll talk about those in a moment. So typically, if I'm out traveling, which is a bit for work or whatever, my son, he just comes right out here and he flips that switch if it's a windy day. So it kills everything here, but everything else stays lit. So what I do is kind of talk through this. So stake timer here for the shrubs, and then I have 3 sets plugged into the first set of C9s, and then the remaining 2 I have running to that extension cord that comes in, because I talked about in another video, when I have to deal with the C9s, even though they're starting to kind of retrofit in with some of the LEDs, I only max them out at 3 sets. From experience, I've been out here years ago dealing with melted plugs because the fuse completely melted inside, and I've snipped the plug, and then you're using a non-fused plug, and do you run into the same problem again? So I learned that years and years ago, and it works fine. And then I have, going right to that outlet, I had those outlets put in after my first year here. First year here, before kids were born, I was running cords through windows up on the 2nd floor behind the house because I was maxing out breakers. Originally, these each went to their own breaker. And I told the electrician, and I had room in the box, and he just said, yeah, we could do it that way because this is your application. So I've had some good luck. Those will sometimes pop if we have extreme wet weather, and then just go out the next day and reset it. So then that 2nd cord, you see the green cord under the shrubs here, runs to that stake timer there. That stake timer ultimately handles the C9s that are staked. Those are changing, those aren't white, those are changing colors. If you go back to a video I posted in, I think, March, you can see what this would look like, because that was from the previous year. And then that timer obviously controls that projector. There's another projector down there. I can't get enough projectors. The lamppost, the mailbox, and then ultimately it will lead to a line that runs through the street, or not through the street, over the street, to the circle. Circle's not done yet. The lights in the trees are done. On the rock there's net lighting, but I do put more of these stake color changing lights, like kind of a circle within the circle. Those aren't in yet. It doesn't take long. I think I just do 2 sets, maybe 3 sets, can't remember. So over here, the blow molding vintage candles aren't connected yet. Typically, I have to kind of tie them down because they blow around. They're not plugged in. I usually just grab a spot. I usually run something off a timer, and I just put a splitter on it, one of those star splitters, which I like, those circular ones. And then ultimately something hangs on the door that lights up. So that all ties together. So that stake, same deal on this side. You can see that orange cord going up into the shrub. That's where after the third set leaves off and the fourth one begins. And then I have another, this green cord, as I talked about before, goes to the stake light. And that works well. Then over here, what we did yesterday was, this was done, 3 sets of net lighting on that, hydrangea, whatever. And then I wired up everything. So the cord here, you see the orange cord, this goes around the back of the house, down, snake through the bulkhead. I gotta fix that drain. I keep forgetting to do that gutter. So then that goes to a stake timer back here, right? So it goes to that. So this took, like, I can do this now blindfolded with where the connections go, and because I got so many sets on here, I think I showed that before. This has 6 sets on it, I think. So after the third set, again, plugs into the stake timer. I try to get it, because the sun comes from that direction. I try to aim them that way, so they're not coming on at like 3 in the afternoon, although it looks cool because it does get dark. And then I run a cord all the way to that roadie with a splitter on the end, a 3-way splitter. And then from there, and see how I have it hanging there to keep it off the ground, I run one cord back here, and these all just plug into one another. And then you can see that. And then I run one to this tree that has, when I say stars, this is what I mean. I love these things. I bought a few of them that year, probably like 5, 6, probably longer ago, 8 years ago. Time goes by quickly. And then I just plug in, I have all these C7s just plugged into that, and it just lays flat on the tree. And when the ones that you don't use, they that seals up nicely, and then even when it's open, it kind of shields the connection, even though it plugs in snugly. Floodlight. See, even there, my son did all this, the staking and the zip tying. I mean, it's amazing. Normally, but when they were tiny, this was a one-man job, and it would take me, I would chip away at it after work, but it would be dark. So sometimes on lunch break for like an hour, I would just come out here and hustle and try to do what I could. And then the weekends, just spend both days. But when you have some help, and it's great bonding time with your kids. If you're into Christmas lights, it's great if you get the family involved. So you can see the painter's tape normally. He did this. I see what he tried to do here. Normally I take duct tape and I actually do it flush so it covers this part here. I have ruined expensive, they're not cheap, they're not totally expensive, but I've ruined lights because the moisture gets back there and corrodes the connection. And I've trashed those, so learned that the hard way. And then that's not a timer, but that's just like a splitter. Those are convenient because you're not having to stake stuff into the ground like with a hammer and a piece of wood. Those stakes, coincidentally, that you see there next to the floodlight, those stakes actually are old pieces of lattice from the deck, and I keep them stored with my Christmas stuff, and they make perfect little stakes. And you can see this one here, and you just zip tie the cord right to it to keep it off the ground. Works well. Extension cords. I have 3 trunks full of outdoor extension cords, not including like 3 or 4 that I keep in the garage for year-round use. Over time, as I needed them, I always went for green. Makes a huge difference. There was a time when there was a lot of orange running around the lawn, not that you can see it at night, but, and deflated, basically deflated airbags is an eyesore on the lawn, of course, but you know, it's just a little extra way to hide things a little bit. So you just got cords everywhere. And it's, for the most part, I think it's done fairly efficiently. And as I've said before, I've been able to, that should probably get staked off the ground. For the most part, I could do this blindfolded. I could actually talk somebody through this and not physically be here on which cord, which thing goes where. So this is tricky because basically I have, coming off the splitter, that heavy duty splitter, I have two things going on here. One, let's talk about the first thing I did. I have a cord that goes over to that timer. And then off that timer, I have the lights for this, the C7s, and then it has two outlets. I have it going to one of those stake splitters. From the stake splitter, I have it going back here to that splitter on that extension cord. One plugs into the LED tree. These are taking a beating. You can see the rust on them. These bricks are the only thing that will hold them down too. And then I have this black cord that goes up to the icicle lights, which look really cool, by the way. And then I have a third, this green cord, which I have one of those things that you put over the cord. I don't have it out yet. Goes here to this splitter, and the splitter, oh, looks like I didn't plug that tree in yet. Do that in a minute. So that splitter plugs that tree in, and then it runs to this mailbox. By the way, I see these mailboxes in the store, Lowe's or whatever. I see them this size and bigger. Stay away from them unless you're using it indoors. This thing is a piece of garbage. It looks cool lit up and fine and everything, but it's always falling apart no matter what you do. My son spent time this time, I didn't tell him, he did it on his own, to zip tie pieces of it back together again. So it's kind of one of those things, when it goes, it goes. So that's what, that's the first one. Got it? The second cord comes out and it goes across the gravel. It goes up. And then I didn't explain why that stake timer goes either. That stake, that timer. And then that cord goes there. But before I explain that, the first cord, are you with me? I explained that off that stake timer, we go back that way to the spiral trees, right? The second one, that green one coming off that stake goes to this roadie, and that has a splitter on the end. And then I go here to that splitter. So obviously we do that bush, and then off, and then I have a splitter hanging in the tree. You can see it. So that bush gets it. Then off the splitter comes one of these cords that has multiple outlets along the way on it. I bought it, I saw it in the store one time, and I was like, I could probably find a use for this baby over here. It works pretty handy. It doesn't line up exactly, but it is handy. So then that powers that, and it comes off and ends here. Okay. So what I try to do is, with those two orange extension cords that are in the garage, is basically to break it down as simple as possible, is one of those cords basically powers everything around the garage, that tree, and then this first line right here. That second cord, as I started to talk before, goes to this timer, and this has a double connection to it. So then that cord comes on the wood pile. So when I was out here, I did some of this morning, because I had a little time this morning. I have to fix this. This fell down. There's two sets of C9s. I'm not doing it today. It's a work day. That obviously needs to get staked off and properly tied back and connected to that. But I put that splitter on there, so then it goes down to this last tree, and that has a splitter on the end of it. See, I also, when I started buying green cords, I tried to look for the ones that had the splitters on the end of it. Makes life so much easier, because I used to have to like put a splitter on it, or like a stake splitter like you see back there. It was just a pain. There are situations where I would have 2 stakes in the ground, one for the end of the plug, one for a plug with that had a short cord on it to another splitter staked in the ground. It was a lot. So you get efficient over time. Off that splitter, this isn't set up yet, clearly, will be the reindeer. It's just sitting here. It needs to be staked and everything. It's just kind of, so the reindeer is sitting in the sled, but obviously gets taken out. The reindeer LED, this is all LED. The lights busted like after the first season. So what I did was I actually just bought a clear set of LEDs and just wrapped it. Looks fine, looks fine. So that was yesterday and just a hair to this morning. But really what I have left, again, is to wire the circle, which means running across the street from basically the mailbox. And I'll explain what I do there and why in the next video. So we have that. I have to finish the reindeer, fix this tree, which takes all 5 minutes with a ladder. Usually having a helper, because it's so thick, that you can help you with. And then in the backyard, the deck, which I think I pointed out in another video, the deck needs to be wired. I think I have 4 sets of C7s, and then 2 trees that I wrapped off into the backyard. Zoom into them. Zoom in, you can see them, see the lights and that pine. So that's what we have left. And as of this recording, it is the weekend. We just came out of the weekend before the weekend leading into Thanksgiving. So we got one more full weekend before Thanksgiving. And then, so we're in excellent shape. The weather has been perfect. Usually it's windy here this time of year. It's colder. It's been in the 50s, which is not hot, but when you move around, you're warm. There's been no wind, which made life putting those inflatables. My son calls them floats, so I tend to, if you hear me say float, that's why. It's just stuck with me. I have been out here in years where it's been damp, mist, like rain all day doing this, because it's like the weekend and when else are you going to do it? And I also find when it gets to this time of year, you have an opening of a nice day, even if you are tired or have other stuff going on, just do it, because the weather can change, and then all of a sudden you're stressing to catch up and get done before the season. And because so much work goes into this, I like to get it done so I can go live the day after Thanksgiving. And I know sometimes people don't put Christmas lights on until like some point in December. Again, so much work goes into this. I try to maximize it. I've yet to turn them on before Thanksgiving. It's just, I see people who do that and I'm on the fence about it. Maybe turn them on before Thanksgiving, and maybe Thanksgiving Day just turn them off. I don't know. But we do enjoy them. I used to leave them out until mid-January. But again, weather and my work travel schedule dictates a lot. So sometimes you get a nice, you know, you have like a little extra time off because of New Year's Day. I've started to take stuff down New Year's Day in recent years, because sometimes a week or two makes all the difference to whether the ground is frozen or not. Usually to the end of December, maybe first week of January, we're not yet dealing with like highs in the 20s and things like that, or, you know, lows in the teens. And usually when I take the stuff down, I can't believe I'm talking about taking it down and it's not all done yet, going up. I do it in phases, right? The first thing I do is get the stuff that's staked into the ground out. So all the floats, the lights that are stuck in the ground, all of them come out. So over the course of maybe like a week, 2 weeks, it's like a gradual dismantling, and it actually still looks pretty good as it's coming down. It's just always sad because that first evening when everything's gone and you flip on the light, or not flip on the light, but look outside and it's just pure blackness. Or it's like daytime when this stuff is lit up in the holiday season. All right, well, if anyone has any questions or suggestions, constructive, please. It would be cool to hear. Yes, I don't use really mini LEDs short of around the mailbox. I am just old school C7, C9, but will retrofit LED in because otherwise I don't think I could have this many lights the way I'm set up. When I buy new, I buy in bulk. So I buy retrofit LEDs from 1000bulbs.com. And if I need stringers, I just buy stringers and I put the bulbs in myself. The quality of those stringers from 1000bulbs.com versus just going to Walmart and buying, like if you can find incandescent C9s, C7s, just the electrical wire itself, the quality is garbage when you buy them in those stores. I'm a sucker when the stuff goes on sale and it's like $1.50, $2 for a box of 25. I take them. I absolutely take them. But if I'm in a situation during the season and stuff's not on sale yet and I need something, or I'm building something out new, 1000bulbs.com, and the quality, like when I'm putting stuff up, I know which came from 1000bulbs.com just by the feel of it, versus kind of the thinner material that probably won't stand the test of time as long. Yeah, so like again, I'm old school. Not so old school that I'm against LED because it does have an application and it's really cool. For example, these stake lights going down the driveway, they change colors. When I was trying to figure out what color to do, when I originally came up with the idea of doing this, and I saw these that they change colors, I'm like, that could be really cool. And it's not obnoxious either. So LEDs do, to me, have their application. And it is nice when you work with them though, because when you're wrapping lights around trees and sometimes the strand slips out of your hand and break a glass bulb, but LEDs don't. Yes, I prefer big time incandescents, the way they look. Last thing I'll say is 1000bulbs.com now has opaque LED Christmas lights, and I ordered 2 bags as replacement bulbs, and I think my son pulled one out because he needed one yesterday. It looks very similar to an incandescent, and we should do, when it's turned on, so we should do a test, see how that looks. All right, well, we're nearing the end. I will do an update video, maybe, I'm hoping maybe by the weekend, if I have a little time Wednesday, the middle of this week, before it gets dark, if my schedule permits it, can kind of get a few more things done out here. But it'll be done by Thanksgiving, and I hope that I won't be sweating bullets to get it all done, which is awesome. So thanks for watching. And again, suggestions, comments, if you need me to clarify how I wired something again, for sure, I'm happy to talk about it, and hope this was interesting.